This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities.
Good morning and welcome to this week's edition of Business, Equity, and Opportunities. I'm Scott Sander. Our show comes from a commitment from our parent company, Circle City Broadcasting, to diversity, equity, and inclusion. Each week we provide tools that entrepreneurs and business owners can use to start and run a successful small business. We highlight businesses and community leaders and bring in experts who share their collective experiences with you to encourage your development, give you knowledge you'll need to see your dreams become reality in the business world. Every week we have 7 segments designed to cover important topics that small business owners are sure to encounter. You can see the show every Sunday right here on Wish TV at 10 o'clock or watch the live stream through wishtv.com. Much of our content's also available to share on demand anytime at BE&O.com, a site that keeps growing with more information and resources. When you visit, be sure to sign up for our newsletter, which we update every Tuesday. And check out the BE&O podcast. Listen and subscribe. It's a great way to take us with you on the go. Now that you know how to find us, here's what's coming up today on Business, Equity, and Opportunities. As we approach year's end, we talk with the pros about getting your finances in order. If you're in the home health care arena, you need to be aware of how federal labor laws affect you. We get insights straight from the Department of Labor. And we catch up with the regional sales manager for the largest independent, family-owned and operated distillery in America at, fittingly, our football party. He gives us an inside perspective on the business of spirits in our industry focus. And we meet an extraordinary entrepreneur whose mission is to use technology to shrink our ecological footprint and fill bellies. He's the subject of this week's success story. Lots going on today, but as always, we start by getting started.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities. Getting started.
David Fredricks is the Director of Indianapolis Office of Minority and Women Business Development, the agency serving businesses owned by minorities, women, veterans, and people with disabilities. If your business falls into one of those categories, Fredricks says now's the time to make sure you're certified and ready to take advantage of opportunities coming in 2023.
If anyone out there is looking to get certified, if you're approached by anyone or a company or anything saying, hey, if you give us $1,000, we'll get you certified, you don't have to do that. You don't have to pay $1,000 or any dollars for the certification process. Our staff is here to help folks through the process, to answer any questions and to try and make it, hopefully as painless as possible. But the process is absolutely free, and we encourage folks to get certified. Even if you don't necessarily see an opportunity for your business, the thing that I've been telling folks here lately is that certification is almost like a stamp of approval. Because when you go through our certification process, your business is very deeply vetted. So we make sure that the company can do what they say they can do, that you have the resources, the capabilities to be able to handle opportunities and projects. And so for a lot of individuals and for a lot of companies, they may look at certification and say, this may not be something that's for my company, or I don't see any value in it. But I think having that additional sort of stamp of approval that some objective entity such as the City of Indianapolis has looked at your company, and we've looked at it and vetted it and made sure everything is good. I think that just makes you more attractive to other potential businesses and to organizations who are looking to do business with diverse companies. We have a 90-day process to go through our certification. So it can take up to 90 days. It's not running to 90 days right now, but we let folks know. So I would say first thing is, if you are thinking about starting a business or you have a business and you want to get it certified, I would start that paperwork now and try and get it submitted to our office as soon as possible. You also have to keep in mind holidays, city government, there's going to be some shutdowns, and then we have a lot of folks in the building who will be taking holiday leave and things of that nature. So things will be a little delayed during the month of December, and then they'll pick up once we come back from the start of the new year. But if your paperwork is already here, that means you're already in the pipeline, and we can start that process and hopefully get them moved along. But you have to think about it also too in context of construction season. Will start, usually it gets warm enough by March. So if you're looking at opportunities that are construction related, you definitely want to have your certification into our office. I would say no later than mid-January, and then hopefully we can get you done and have you certified before the 1st of March, before construction season really gets ramped up going into April. Well, right now there's a lot of construction happening in downtown Indianapolis. So there are going to be several new projects that will come online after the first of the year. We've got private partnerships that are continuing. So we've got new projects in terms of some apartment complexes, as well as, I believe, 1 or 2 possible new hotels will hopefully be starting in the spring or sometime in 2023, but the groundwork for that has already been laid. So there's going to be some definite projects around that. But then 2, we've also started receiving some of our infrastructure dollars from the federal government. So DPW, DMD, other places will have projects that they're going to be starting next year that will focus heavily on infrastructure. So anything from roads and bridge repairs to internet access and things like that that are part of that package. A lot of that work will be coming out in 2023, and so we're definitely looking for more vendors who are in specific niches that can participate in some of those projects. We're also encouraging vendors that are currently certified with us to look at getting their DBE certification, which is Disadvantaged Business Enterprise, with NDOT, because then that allows them to participate and be counted towards federally funded projects. And so with most of these dollars coming from the federal government, a lot of them will be looking for diverse businesses that are not only certified locally, but are also certified through the Indiana Department of Transportation through their DBE certification program. So we're going to be working with our vendors to help them understand that process, understand our process, get them certified in both, work with our partners over at NDOT to help folks get certified. But there will definitely be a lot happening in Indianapolis just as a continuation of this year. There have been a lot of projects that have started, and we just anticipate that continuing to grow.
Getting started, made possible by the Indiana Economic Development Corporation.
If you want more information about becoming a certified minority, women, veteran, or disability-owned business, visit our website, beoshow.com. If you have a great story you want us to follow up on, please email us. The address is beo@wishtv.com. Love to hear from you. Coming up next, our Access to Capital segment. Matthew Murphy is back to talk about another way to expand your business through mergers and acquisitions. And later, as we reach the end of the year, Jennifer Hall returns to talk taxes. Business Equity and Opportunities will be back after these companies tell you about their businesses. Stay with us. Welcome again to Business Equity and Opportunities. Let's say you're looking to expand your company's reach or trying to overcome a competitor. One way to achieve either is through M&A, mergers and acquisitions.
This is Business Equity and Opportunities. Access to Capital.
Matthew B. Murphy III is president and CEO of Emboss Partners, Incorporated. He counsels businesses on gaining access to capital and says there are other ways to expand your business.
Merger and acquisition, commonly known as M&A, is a tool much like considering organic growth, where you're actually growing the business by expanding your efforts toward greater revenue or different markets or adding different product offerings. M&A is a tool for companies to move toward sustainable growth. So when a company decides that it wants to grow, it first has to ask the question, how will we achieve that growth? And what does that growth look like? For example, if a company decides that they're looking to expand their revenue by 10% a year for the next 3 years, how is that achievable? And then there are tools by which one can achieve, or companies can achieve, that strategy. So M&A is really a strategic tool, and I would say first and foremost, it really requires the whole strategic planning process ahead of pulling that tool out to be used for growth. And what I mean by that is to acquire other companies sounds very simplistic. You identify companies you'd like to acquire and you embark on trying to make that happen. But it's a lot more detailed and a lot more intensive process when you consider that you first have to align your strategy with the desire for expanding your business by way of acquiring other companies. And when that's done, you have to be able to know the processes by which that's performed. I would say one of the first steps is to have great corporate counsel involved, because there's a lot of legal nuances to M&A activity. And then of course, there's so much with regard to financial modeling, understanding the target company that you're looking to acquire and their financial picture, and understanding how 1 + 1 hopefully equals 3 once a merger is achieved. And then it's about the other disciplines of your business, like HR, for example. How do we first understand the culture of the company that we're buying, and how well will that company that we're buying merge into our culture, so that, again, 1 + 1 equals 1, and not 2 separate companies at the end of the process. So M&A is a very fascinating tool. It is laced with a lot of potential failures, but it can be a very, very lucrative way to grow a business, to grow a company, both geographically as well as the number of locations that a business might decide to embark on when the target company is finally acquired. I would say it is more of a financial tool than a strategy. It's the ability to figure out how much more market share can be gained by having acquired another company, and the result has to be measured constantly for the strategic objectives that you predicated the decision to embark on an M&A strategy to begin with. So what are we trying to achieve? And that's always got to be the question at the front end. So M&A activity has as many reasons behind it as the tool will allow, but mostly it's for growth and expansion. And I would also say that it really only ought to be done when it's sustainable, not necessarily an activity, but it leads to sustainable growth. That means that we're able to obtain many of the objectives from our strategic planning as we can by acquiring company A or B or C or all 3, and rolling up into a larger footprint in the market and having a larger scale at our disposal. So the industry that comes to mind that deploys M&A activity very frequently, not just here in the state but throughout the nation, is the banking industry. So you may have local and community banks that are growing in size and reach, but they have obtained as much market share potentially as they can in a certain geography. And so it may necessitate the bank's ability to expand beyond that local footprint into other markets when they buy another bank. And scale in the financial institution industry does matter in certain ways, such as the ability to attract capital and again, consumer reach and the ability to reach other businesses beyond that local footprint that may have been the original starting point. So the banking industry is one of the most active, but it's not limited to that. Your own industry is another example. And I think anytime you have national folks looking at local markets, that's a tool that is used. M&A is a tool whereby, for example, folks outside of our market want to be an entrant into this market because they feel like it's rich with either customer or industrial opportunity for growth. And so they're looking to buy organizations or companies within an outside geography. And so that's the hallmark of what a M&A effort is all about, really.
If you'd like more ideas for accessing capital, visit us online at beoshow.com. And while you're there, sign up for our newsletter for even more resources. Up next, This Week in Business, we talk about entrepreneurship and the future. That and more when Business Equity and Opportunity returns. Welcome back to Business Equity and Opportunities. This Week in Business, the Indianapolis Office of Minority and Women Business Development hosts its annual year-end forum. This year's theme is Entrepreneurship in the Future.
This is Business Equity and Opportunities. This Week in Business.
David Fredricks is the director of the Office of Minority and Women Business Development. He shares details on the agency's year-end forum coming up this week.
So our 15th annual year-end forum is taking place on Wednesday, December the 7th, beginning at 8:30 in the morning at the Indianapolis Central Library in the Clues Auditorium. The program itself is an opportunity for us to reflect back and look at some of the projects and the work that's taken place in 2022, but then also to give folks a snapshot of some of the things that are going to be happening in 2023. Our theme this year is entrepreneurship in the future. And so with that, what we're hoping to do is we want to start talking about not only our vendors and our business owners that are here and now, but how do we start engaging that next generation of diverse business owners in the future? So we've got a panel discussion where we're going to have individuals who are involved with training and educating not only current business owners, but also some that are in higher education. We're going to talk specifically about some of the things that they're doing to make that next generation of business owners aware of all the things that are out there for them. We're also going to have a couple of presentations from some local opportunities that are going to occur here within the city. And then we'll wrap the day up with the B2B matchmaker, where we give opportunities to the businesses to get to mingle, meet with each other, and to talk about and hopefully develop some partnerships that may lead to opportunities going forward into next year. But at the end of the day, our goal is to just, one, celebrate everything that has occurred this year, but then two, get folks excited about all the opportunities that are coming up next year and to let them know how our office can help them through that. There is a registration. We just ask folks to go to our website at www.indy.gov/OMWBD. They can find information on there to register. It is absolutely free, so there is no cost. And we tell folks go to the website and find registration, and we'll have that up until probably Monday, and then we'll go from there. But yeah, absolutely free. I would say this year's event is pretty good for everybody. I mean, we're going to be talking about some of the more established, larger projects and opportunities, but then we're also going to have, with the B2B matchmaker, there's going to be a lot of opportunities to engage with some of our local partners, whether it's Indigo, the Indianapolis Airport Authority, IU Health. There's going to be opportunities to meet and mingle and talk about all sorts of opportunities, not just things construction related, but even sourcing opportunities and things of that nature. So I would say anyone who's certified with the City of Indianapolis or who's interested in getting certified should attend this event, learn about all the opportunities, learn about the resources, and then take the time afterwards to meet and mingle not only with our staff, but with other business owners. I think the future is very bright. I think there are new business sectors that are being developed all around us. There's energy among young entrepreneurs here in the city, whether they're black or brown. Folks are sort of creating their own spaces, which is great. And I think the more that we continue to engage with them, we'll be able to start to make connections to opportunities in the spaces where those young people are creating for themselves. So I think the future is really bright. Indianapolis is continuing to recover. We have a lot that is going to be coming down the pipe that we think individuals will, companies will be looking to get involved in. And so our job here is to try and, be a resource, but to make folks as prepared as possible to take advantage of the opportunities when they get those, and then to be an advocate for them. But I think the future for our young entrepreneurs that are in Indianapolis is very, very bright. And like I said, I'm very confident in the things that I see coming down for years to come with them.
The annual year-end forum is soon, set for Wednesday, this week, December 7th. When we come back, if you have a small business, you will have to deal with taxes. We have tips in accounting and bookkeeping when Business Equity and Opportunities return. Welcome back to Business Equity and Opportunities. I'm Scott Sander. It is time to talk accounting and bookkeeping. We're deep in the holiday season, so tax season is right around the corner. Do you think you're ready?
This is Business Equity and Opportunities, Accounting and Bookkeeping.
Jennifer Hall is the Executive Director of Bankable in Anderson. She takes a moment to offer some accounting and bookkeeping tips to help you navigate the upcoming tax season.
It's coming up on tax time, and so as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, you really need to think about how you want your taxes to look, your financial statements to look, if you're thinking about applying for a loan. So most of the time, accountants or tax preparers will try to write off as many expenses as possible to get that net income down to a very low amount so you're not paying as many taxes. But if you're thinking about applying for a loan, business loan in particular, over the next 12 months, you may not want your income to look quite so low. It would be worthwhile for you to not write off as many things so your income can look higher, so that you have a proven track record of income. So as we come towards tax season, it's important to really think and plan what you want to do with your business over the next 12 months. And if financing is in your future, to really start preparing for it now. There are several resources online that you can find, but I think you need to make a decision about, do you want a CPA? If you have a CPA working on your books and your taxes, you're going to pay a little bit more, but a lot of times if you have a very complex situation, it's worth the investment. But you can also look at an accountant or even a tax preparer. You may not get as much advice on how to do things or how to structure your taxes, but you will not pay as large of a fee to get those services rendered for you. And then there's always a QuickBooks, Quicken Tax that you can use to do yourself. But I would caution a business owner, when you're thinking about your business taxes, it's probably important to make an investment in a professional that can really help and guide you through that process.
If you'd like to watch dozens more accounting and bookkeeping ideas, please visit our website at beoshow.com. You can find all the segments that we do, upcoming business events, and more resources designed to help you on your path to success. Also, make sure you sign up for our BE&O newsletter to find out more about business resources in your community. Still to come on Business Equity and Opportunities, Lacey Houle is back from the Labor Department. This time she's talking about home health care rules and regulations. That's coming up next in Running Your Business Day to Day, so we'll be right back. You're watching Business Equity and Opportunities, and time to talk running your business day to day. The home health care industry is highly regulated. It has rules aimed at protecting clients and your workers. The Department of Labor works to make sure both are safe.
This is Business Equity and Opportunities, running your business day to day.
Lacey Houle is the Community Outreach and Resource Planning Specialist for the U.S. Department of Labor. She talks about the ins and outs of home health care, from pay to hours worked, and what to do with travel time.
A domestic service worker is one who's going to provide services of a household nature in or about a private home. Okay, so these are going to be your nurses, your CNAs. A lot of employers in the home care industry will classify employees as DSPs, or direct care professionals, that are really working alongside with the clients in the home, taking care of just basic needs of helping administering medication or bathing or taking them to doctor's appointments and so forth. So domestic care workers, they need to be paid at least the full minimum wage of $7.25 an hour. They also need to receive overtime pay at time and a half if they're working any hours or more hours of 40 in a work week. It's one of the common violations that we do see, where a lot of employees are working with clients. They're going from home to home, and they're putting in a lot of hours. This is one of the industries that we do see some short staff issues, and so these employees are working a lot of hours with these clients and spending a lot of time with these clients, and so overtime issues, the employees need to be paid for anything over 40 in a work week. So we see sometimes that most of these clients will need around-the-clock 24-hour care, and so there's employees that may work more than 24 hours and they may work less than 24 hours. And so if the employee is working less than 24 hours, obviously just depending on the requirements with the employer, if they're working less than 24 hours, then they need to be paid for all the time that they're working, okay? So if they're working more than 24 hours, maybe a weekend shift with the client, then the employer and the employee need to have some type of agreement of when sleep time would be deducted. And so obviously the employer can only deduct up to 8 hours, and the employer also has to provide adequate sleeping facilities. So reasonable accommodations, basically, of comfort, a bed, some linens, a kitchen or a bathroom facility for these employees. And if they don't provide those adequate facilities, then they're not able to take that deduction. The employer also has to take into account that when employees are working these shifts of 24 hours or more, if their sleep is being interrupted, they have to take that into consideration of helping or working with a client throughout the middle of the night. So if those interruptions are so frequent to where the employee is not able to get a reasonable amount of sleep, that time would need to be paid for. And so under the Fair Labor Standards Act, we would classify that up to 5 hours, at least 5 hours of sleep would be sufficient enough for an employee to receive a reasonable night's sleep. A common violation in this industry with employers not paying for travel time in between clients. So obviously, if you have an employee that's leaving their home and traveling to client A, for example. That is going to be considered your normal home to work commute, and that time would not need to be paid for. So if you have, once the employee has arrived to client A and they need to go to client B and go to client C and so forth, that time in between would need to be paid for, as long as it's direct travel. Now let's say the employee leaves client A's home, has some time before they need to get to client B, maybe let's say a couple hours, and the employee is able to run some errands or do some personal pursuits on their own. So that time would not need to be paid for. So let's say that it does take 30 minutes from client A to client B. That's the time frame in between as a direct drive. So that time would need to be paid for. So obviously the employer needs to take in consideration, okay, you're free for 2 hours, but I do still need to compensate you for those 30 minutes to travel in between those homes. This is a growing industry. We are seeing this becoming more popular. So if you're a new business owner and you're thinking about starting a home health care agency, or you're already haven't started that, we for sure want you to visit our website at www.dol.gov/WHD, or give us a call with any of your questions that you have about compliance, or if you're in compliance. And you can call us anonymously at our Indianapolis public phone line at 317-226-6801. And like I said, we're here to help, and so and provide those resources and assist you to make sure you're in compliance.
For more information about the resources available to you through the U.S. Department of Labor, visit our website, BEOshow.com. You'll find much more about running your business and all of today's segments. Up next, the next segment is Industry Focus on two compatible businesses, sports bars and spirits. Business Equity and Opportunities returns after these businesses have a word. Welcome back to Business Equity and Opportunities and our industry focus. Like Indiana and basketball, or peanut butter and jelly, some things were made to go together. Such is the case with sports bars and the distributors of fine spirits. So as part of Wish TV's coverage of the Colts Monday Night Football game, we sent Lifestyle Live's George Mallet to the Ale Emporium, where he learned about two industries that saw each other through some tough times.
This is Business Equity and Opportunities, Industry Focus.
Brent Holverson is the Regional Sales Manager in Indiana for Heaven Hill Brands, distributors of many brands of spirits. He spoke with our George Mallet about the effects the pandemic has had on his business and the establishments that serve its products.
Tell me where the business is right now. You and I were talking off camera earlier about supply chain issues and manpower issues, but you guys look like you're thriving.
Well, it's been a rough few years, as we all know, and you mentioned supply chain issues. That was one that I don't think anybody saw coming, right? So we had to pivot, and there were several brands that we had to kind of hold back on. We just didn't have the product to go out, or the glass to be made. Great example is Larceny Bourbon. It's a very unique shaped bottle. We were talking about Larceny, such a great brand, but they couldn't make the bottle because of the glass. But the big thing is we've kind of gotten through that. We're seeing it come back around, which is great.
And we're out here tonight watching football on television with a lot of people coming out of the pandemic and people getting back out to sports bars. I suspect it's a no-brainer that this has been helpful to your business.
Oh, it has. I mean, and the spirits industry is such a great industry, right? So we say at Heaven Hill we've been making spirits bright since 1935. And we've witnessed in the last 10 years like the bourbon boom, and then we have 70 different brands. So, but to see how things have come back and people are back out and enjoying, especially around the holiday season, this is what it's all about. Come out, have some cocktails, watch some great football with some friends, and we're seeing that things are kind of fully back in action right now, which is great.
What are the secrets to overcoming some of the obstacles that we've been talking about? Is it as simple as just taking care of your people?
Well, I mean, that's a big thing, right? And I'm fortunate enough to say I work for the best family-owned company in the entire world. during the pandemic, again, it was pretty tough. I mean, everybody had to find different ways. We had people going to work in, going to work in the rick houses that never worked in the rick house, or going to, put gift bags together to give away to industries. I mean, the on-premise industry, all the restaurants and bars struggled. They had to shut down for a while. So we found ways to give back if it was making hand sanitizer. We've never done that before, but alcohol is hand sanitizer, so we pivoted and we did that. And you look now, I mean, we're back in action, which is great to see.
You mentioned the culture. Are there intangibles that create that culture?
Yeah, I think it all starts from the top. The Shapira family, who owns and founded our company, it's fourth generation now. It's just seeded. That's just what they have done, and they have created such a great organization. And we have an amazing sales team. So again, have great brands, great leadership, great salespeople. It kind of makes it fun to work with. So,
how important is it to have a relationship? You're in charge in Indiana, to have a relationship with that community.
Oh, it's huge. I've always said in this industry, and I'm going to say for every industry, honestly, relationships is really what it's all about. There's a lot of great brands out there. There's thousands of brands out there. Why are they going to bring in yours versus somebody else's? Well, number one, it's got to taste good. Number two, you've got to have some support behind it. And number three, you've got to have that relationship where you know that I'm not going to lead you astray. I'm going to tell you what works that I've seen work in other places. And, there's certain brands that we have that work in the off-premise, which are liquor stores and the big chain stores and things that work differently than what work in the on-premise, which is restaurants and bars. So, we know the good trends. We know the brands that are hot. We know what we have, even a lot of support going from out-of-home and TV commercials and things like that, and being able to be a part of all Indiana Bets. That's awesome, right? Like, that's a fun place to be, and we are able to use our brands to kind of connect to everybody. So it definitely, relationship is a huge, huge piece of it.
You sound optimistic as I talk to you. We're coming out of a tough stretch. What are you optimistic about as we look forward?
Well, the spirits industry is huge. It's definitely booming. And you've always got to look 2, 3, 4 years ahead, right? So when we look at things and we've got, thousands and thousands and thousands of barrels just aging. It takes a long time. You can't make bourbon today and sell it tomorrow. You got to wait. It's 4 years. It could be up to 20 years. It could be 24 years. So it's pre-planning. It's what's going to stay hot in the industry, what's new and creative that we can bring to it. So there's a lot of behind-the-scenes tasting that goes on daily that I don't even know about until it gets to a point of, hey, we think we've got something here. What do you guys think? Again, they lean on us. We give them our thoughts and ideas. We know what works. And again, every market's different. Certain things are better than not, but liquid to lips, getting that sampling out there. So like tonight, we've got some sampling promo people going around to sample some of our brands out. And when you try it for the first time, you might be like, wow, this is awesome. I'm going to go buy that tomorrow. So it's kind of, you got to get ahead of the game a little bit. You got to be kind of looking in the future to what's going to be hot and what's what's good for everybody. This is definitely, the future is definitely bright. We've got a lot of good things in store. Can't share them all because it would give away let the cat out of the bag, but there's a lot of good stuff coming right around the corner, I'll tell you that.
Up next on Business Equity and Opportunities, we return to a shrimp farm in Indiana to find out more about its very motivated founder. He's the subject of our latest success story. Stay with us. Welcome again to Business Equity and Opportunities. It is time for another success story. This week we head back to Ataraya to learn how farm-raised shrimp can lead to jumbo profits. And we meet the passionate young founder.
This is Business Equity and Opportunities Success Story.
Daniel Russick is the CEO of Ataraya, a sustainable new way to farm shrimp. The company originated in Mexico City, and it's now moved its North American headquarters to central Indiana.
We are a company that developed technology to enable urban shrimp farming. So we can farm shrimp sustainably without using any chemicals, any antibiotics, and using local talent to grow shrimp in cities that are not connected to the ocean. I didn't want to work. I was a student. I was 21 years old, and I was the president of the student council of my university in Mexico City. And there was a hurricane in 2005 that hit the Oaxacan and Chiapas coast, These are the two poorest states in Mexico. And we gathered goods, and then we started an NGO because that trip changed my life. I wanted to do something about the vulnerability that we found there. It inspired me. So we realized quickly that there was no future in fishing because fishing is an extractive activity, and the resources that it relies on are, let's say, depleted, or exploited at its maximum. So we reached peak fish in the 80s. So the only way to make the pie bigger is through aquaculture. That holds an amazing promise, and because the seafood demand grows exponentially. But at the same time, aquaculture is a very destructive economic activity. It is responsible for 50% of the destruction of our mangrove forests in the world, and you can find scandals for labor, many things, no? And also it uses preservatives and antibiotics to deliver a product that it's actually not that good for your health. But at the same time, the market cannot get enough of shrimp. So in the past 10 years, shrimp farming has grown 6 times, and the price has increased 10-15%. So then the question was, can we grow shrimp sustainably? So we started doing that. So we switched from NGO to startup 11 years ago. We started developing biotechnology that previously was only used in universities and research labs. We were the first company to bring it to a commercial size operation that's still running in Oaxaca, Mexico. We started shipping fresh, never frozen shrimp here to the United States for sustainability-driven customers that paid an interesting premium for the story and for the lack of antibiotics and the quality. Our product has 3 times longer shelf life than the traditional shrimp farmed product. But we were flying the shrimp, and logistically it was a nightmare. It killed our margins, it killed our sustainability claim. So we wanted to see if the question was, can we grow shrimp using our technology in cities? And the answer to that question is Shrimpbox, which is a plug-and-play, semi-autonomous farm that we manufacture them in Mexico, and we can put them here to work, in this case in landlocked Indianapolis. So one thing that's very different than when I started with the business 11 years ago, it's so we're living in the same world. We're looking at the same data. Maybe some people are not particularly fond of this particular wording, but we all know that the food we are eating and the relationship we have with our food is not sane. Because the more we know about our food, the less we want to eat. And if you think about that, that is horrible. So why is this happening? Because we know the impact that is having on our own health and the impact that is having on our environment. So here we have an unconditional open door policy. Anybody that wants to come here just needs to send a message through our Instagram or website, and we will host them here. And we will show everything. They will see that we don't have any antibiotics. They will see, they can talk to the people, they can ask how they are treated. And I think that that's important in order to build trust again. Okay, so you can see here the system working properly. So the color of the water is due to the microbial community. If you go to a lagoon, it won't be clear water. And this is because I thought that it was because of mud or dirt or something, no? But in reality, it's because of the microbial community that is there. So if you see a water that it's green, maybe it's most likely because there's algae, so microalgae that are like plants, no, in the ocean. Here, this is it's called heterotrophic microbial community. This means that it has bacteria and it has zooplankton and it has a little bit of algae. So this is a whole ecosystem that is working along shrimp so that it's in balance. No? So this ecosystem is taking care of the water and basically managing and capturing the nitrogen that is involved in shrimp farming. If I throw these once, how many ounces of shrimp would you be surprised if I get?
20 ounces of shrimp, 30
Let's see. Are you surprised? So shrimp are literally transparent. You can see if they have eaten. You can basically ask, how do you feel today? And if you see all their structures complete, then it means that it's free of stress. This is very active. It has its antennas. I won't touch them because it's very sensitive. So you can see that it is well fed. You can see the tract. I don't know if you can see the tract there. So their eyes is fine. So it's very interesting because the only way to grow shrimp successfully commercially is to care about its stress. Okay, I'll save you. Bye bye. So if it is free of stress, then it grows properly. It converts feed into shrimp properly, and we have low mortality rates. Here we might have something like 3,000 shrimp just in this tank.
This is amazing, man.
Thank you.
I've never seen anything like this.
Yeah. There's 95% of the shrimp that comes to America, that is consumed in America, comes from abroad. And it might be 3 years, 5 years frozen. And the quality of that product is not good. And the sustainability and the backstory, it's even worse. So we are creating a new industry, creating economic opportunities, including people that maybe they are farmers that they want to diversify their income stream, maybe they are seafood distributors that have a channel, maybe they are just curious people that want to learn something new. We can train them within 30 hours of training is what they need in order to do something like this. And what we're creating together, it's an industry based on the substitution of a poor quality product with an inspiring and nutritional and sustainable product.
That's business equity and opportunities for this week. For more information about our show, visit beoshow.com. You'll find content from all 7 of the topics from all of our recent episodes. I'm Scott Sander. Thanks for watching. And don't go anywhere. Countdown to Kickoff is next.
Business, Equity, and Opportunities is made possible by Indiana Economic Development Corporation.